William J. Coughlin, a 27-year-old who loved nature, died on May 30th, 1993, due to hypothermia. He got stuck in a narrow part of Brewer's cave in Kentucky. What started as an exciting cave trip turned into a scary 14-hour struggle that ended his life. How did this fun cave adventure go so terribly wrong? On May 28, 1993, three best friends who loved nature and exploring set out on what they thought would be an exciting trip. William J. Coughlin, James Chicala, and Kevin Feely drove from Illinois to Cave City, Kentucky. People call this place Cave City because it has lots of caves. Sadly, they didn't know that this trip would end with only two of them returning home. The three friends drove for 8 hours to Kentucky, and they were excited to explore the natural wonders there. They saw a brochure advertising two tours at Brewer's Cave, historical and wild cave tours. A historical tour was an easy walk through well-lit cave rooms, showing pretty rock shapes and the cave's history. With the wild cave tour, they'll have a more exciting adventure with narrow passages and tricky routes. Excited about a real cave adventure, the friends decided to join the wild cave tour. On May 30th, they went to Brewer's Cave. There, they met their guide, David Hardin, and four other tourists. Before starting the tour, Hardin made everyone sign a paper. This paper said that caving was dangerous and that the people going in were okay with the risks. It also said that the cave owners and workers wouldn't be blamed if anything happened. The group started their tour around 4:30 p.m. They entered the cave, amazed and excited by the unique rock shapes. The passages were narrow and twisty, making them crawl and squeeze through the tight spaces. For William Coughlin, the tallest and heaviest in the group, 6 feet 2 inches and 230 pounds, these narrow passages were really hard. As they went deeper into the cave, the group came to two wooden ladders. The first was about 30 feet long and an easy climb down, but the second ladder was only 15 to 20 feet long and much more dangerous. It hung from a narrow ledge, making it hard to hold on to. This ladder led to a tight V-shaped passage that opened into a big room called the Big Room. The group made it down both ladders and into the Big Room. By this time, they were all tired, especially William, who had struggled with tight spaces. David Hardin told them the official tour was over, and they clapped to celebrate. But their happiness didn't last long because they realized that they still had to make the challenging journey back out of the cave. It was now around 7 p.m., and the group was behind schedule. Hardin told them to start heading back, but the team asked for a short rest. Hardin needed to make a phone call, so he left the group in the Big Room and left the cave at 7:15 p.m. He said he'd come back soon. After waiting 40 to 45 minutes without Hardin returning, the group decided to start making their way out independently. They began climbing the second ladder, with William going last because of his size and tiredness. As he tried to climb, William had a tough time. He tried twice, but he couldn't pull himself up the ladder. Feeling frustrated and very tired, William tried a third time. This time, as he was climbing, his hand slipped on a rock and fell about 7 feet. His head hit a rock, causing a bad injury. William cried out in pain and blood started flowing from his head wound. James and the other tourists quickly came to help William. James used a torn piece of clothing to try and stop the bleeding. He sent another tourist to find Hardin and call for help. Hardin returned to the cave shortly after but didn't bring a doctor or extra help. Hardin suggested that they try to put William up the ladder, but James angrily said that this would be impossible because William was so big and hurt. But with no other choices, they tried it. James stood at the top of the ladder to pull, while Hardin stayed below to push William up. They managed to get William to the top of the ladder with a lot of effort, but now they faced an even bigger challenge, getting William through the V-shaped passage. This narrow part required them to lower William into a small pit and lift and turn his body to fit through the tight, angled passage. William's body got stuck in the V-shaped passage as they tried to do this. His arm was trapped under him, causing him terrible pain. William started screaming in agony, unable to move or change his position. The situation had become very serious, and they clearly needed professional help immediately. The cave rescue team was called and arrived at around 10:30 p.m. By this time, a small crowd had gathered outside the cave. This reminded people of a sad event in 1925 when another caver, Floyd Collins, had gotten trapped in a nearby cave. The rescue operation started immediately. Doctors first treated William's head wound and gave him oxygen. As the cave got colder, they worried William might get too cold, hypothermia. To make things worse, David Hardin was now stuck behind William and in the narrow passage, making the rescue even harder. The rescuers first tried to give William food and coffee through a small opening. James stayed close to his friend, constantly talking to him to keep his spirits up and prevent him from feeling alone. The rescue team then tried to use a pulley system to get William out, but this hurt him too much and they had to stop. As the night went on, William got worse. By 1 a.m. on Monday, he stopped talking and growing quiet. Despite the rescue team working hard all night, they couldn't free William from where he was stuck. Sadly, at around 5 a.m. on May 31st, William J. Coughlin died. The rescue team kept working to remove his body from the cave, finally succeeding at 12:45 p.m. that afternoon. When doctors checked William's body, they found he had died from his head injury and losing too much blood. After this sad event, Williams' family sued the cave owners, but when the case went to court, the cave owners showed the paper that William and the others had signed before the tour. This paper, which said that people accepted all risks and wouldn't blame the cave owners if something went wrong, it dismissed the family's case. The tragic death of William J. Coughlin in Brewer's Cave teaches us important lessons about exploring caves and adventure tourism. Safety is paramount, and the tour operators might not have enough safety measures. They used wooden ladders in tricky parts of the cave and didn't have medical help nearby, which raised concerns. Being trapped in a tight space for hours is very stressful mentally. The guide's decision to leave the group alone and try to move William without proper equipment suggests problems with how guides are trained and handle emergencies. Good communication is crucial for emergencies, and Williams' case had issues with this. This tragedy affected not just Williams' family and friends, but also the local community and the whole caving industry. Some caves changed or even stopped offering risky tours. The legal side of this tragedy started discussions about whether the papers people signed to say that they won't sue, called liability waivers, are fair in extreme sports. While the waiver protected the cave owners in this case, it made people question how much these documents should shield operators from responsibility. Williams' family and friends were deeply affected by his loss. His two friends who survived talked about the importance of cave safety and the need for tourists to understand the risks that they're taking. However, it also led to efforts to improve safety standards and restore people's confidence in the area's cave tours. Williams' family started a foundation to promote cave safety and support cave rescue operations. This foundation educates people about the dangers of caving and funds research into better safety equipment and rescue techniques. Scientists used this incident to show why we need to map and understand cave systems better, which led to more funding for cave exploration and research. Since then, Williams' story has been told many times, reminding people to respect nature's most challenging environments. It has inspired many people to be more careful and prepared when they go on adventures. Also changed how adventure activities are advertised. Many companies now provide more detailed information about their tours, physical demands, and potential risks. This tragedy showed the importance of teaching skills, making decisions, and assessing risks in outdoor education. Today, the story of William J. Coughlin and the Brewer's Cave tragedy remains essential. It reminds us to balance adventure with safety when exploring nature, prepare thoroughly, and respect the natural world's power. The local community of Cave City, Kentucky, was also affected. The incident brought unwanted attention and temporarily hurt tourism, which was necessary for the local economy. Environmental groups used the incident to discuss how delicate cave ecosystems are and argued for more controlled access to caves. Thanks for joining us for this tragic story. If you found it informative, please consider subscribing to our channel for more content on adventure safety and historical incidents. Until next time, stay tuned.